This is the Dog Savant Podcast with your host, Brett Endies.
Hello, and thank you for listening to the Dog Savant Podcast. Today is episode 67. My name is Brett Endies. I am your host. I am a Los Angeles-based dog trainer. I specialize in problem behavior, basic obedience, and puppy development cases. I've been doing this for 25 years, and the reason for this podcast is to share my experience, understanding, and knowledge of dog training and dog behavior to hopefully help you if you are a dog owner who is looking for quality dog training advice, if you are being failed by the purely positive information out there in the movement, or a local trainer who is not doing their job. Hopefully this will help get you on the right path to connecting with your dog and resolving their behavior problems. And of course, if you're a client, if you're listening to this and you would like some more supplemental information to help with the work we are doing, this podcast is for you. So with all that said, all I always ask in return is to send some acknowledgments, rate, review, share, subscribe, send me a note, send me a question. You can go on my email, dogtrainingla@gmail.com. You can always go on my website, dogtrainingla.com. And of course, if you are in the Los Angeles, San Fernando Valley area, I'd love to help you. So contact me, reach out, and we'll see how I can be of assistance. All right, so got that out of the way. As you heard, if you listened to last episode, we were a little touch and go with if I really wanted to continue doing this, to see if I was motivated, to know if you were even listening, because to do this to no one, I have real clients that will listen to what I tell them and teach them, and they'll pay me for it. So I figured as a little supplement, I'll do something like this. And I thought it was waning because we're at 12 reviews and all that and counting. But however, there's been a shining light in the darkness. A listener, and there have been some of you who have, and this is someone who really came at a great time. Jane, thank you so much for reaching out to me and telling me that you have been listening and that it does help you and you do find it entertaining and you do like hearing what I have to say. That's all I needed. You got another episode. And I'm not going to dangle the carrot every time just to say, oh, if you don't regard me or give me accolades and stroke my narcissism, you're not getting anything from me. No, that's not it. It's just time is time. I am busy. I'm also a single father of a special needs child, and I have a very busy, active life, and I want to make sure if I'm going to devote time to something, somebody's going to benefit from it. Someone's going to get the payoff, because I told you before, and I say it again, I'm not looking to profit from this podcast. I'm done with asking for a Patreon account. I just want to know this is helping you, and if at some point I have a book or a workshop or something that I can offer you to continue to help, I would hope that you would support me on that. But other than that, let's move on, because I think I said my piece last episode as to my rationale why I felt these podcasts were tailing off. But we got a new life injected in us, so here we are, episode 67, away we go. All right, so let me just talk a little bit about me and what's going on, and then we'll get to, I'm going to answer your question, Jane, because you deserve it. You can ask me any questions you like, because a little note like yours, I don't know how much you realize what it does for a guy like me. It really, it feels great, and I love it, and it excites me and motivates me to want to help you and anyone else who needs it. So let's see. Okay, so I'm actually driving in Colorado. I'm headed up I-70. I'm headed up the mountain. I got a house here I'm renting for the month. Some of you know that I am sharing my time between California and Los Angeles. If you're in Los Angeles, do not worry. I'm there often. I am there twice a month for nearly a week at a clip, seeing clients. That's where my business is. My family's in Colorado. My life of dogs is in California. So when I talk about being in Colorado, if you people say, "Oh my God, are you gonna see me once and skip town?" No, I am invested in the LA dog culture. There is no turning back. I'm a lifer. However, I need a balance in my life, and I need to focus on things like my family too. So here I am. I'm in Colorado. This is my second home. I have lived here most of my adult life. And now I just am trying to find a balance. We're actually going to be purchasing a house here, which is very exciting, a real awesome mountain house on a couple acres, so I have more room for the dogs, and probably be doing some dog work here in Colorado. Right now it's all focused mostly in California, but I do spend a lot of time here in Colorado, and I enjoy it. I'm in weather. It's like 45 degrees, it's like drizzling, it's sleeting, it might even snow. I'm wearing a warm coat, a puffy. It's like foreign territory for me. You know, I grew up in Four Seasons, but to be back in it, although you got to get used to it, it's not as comfy as, sunshine all year round California style. It's nice. It feels like you live in. It feels like you're actually experiencing and not just insulating yourself from the elements of the world or nature or even if I dare to say how regular people live, right? Because other than Southern California, people go to work to pay their bills, and they focus on their families, and they do regular things like go to Little League games and hiking and blah blah blah, where LA is just like, and it's fun and exciting, and I love many people there. It's an unreal version of life, and I like to sometimes get back to my roots as a human, right? So here I am with my roots. And in a way, I find this being grounded with reality, not having this fantasy life, or having a little fantasies then coming back to reality. It's really symbolic for what's going on with dogs and their behavior. Really, why are we in this level of epidemic proportions as far as dogs having problem behaviors, and shelters being overfilled, and rescues popping up every day because there's so many dogs that are homeless and rehomed for behavior problems, and of course the worst is being put down. The numbers, it's ridiculous, and it really doesn't have to be if we can start seeing things for what they are. And that's what it is that yes, we like going on vacation, we like watching TV and pretending our problems don't exist, but if we address our problems and get through the nitty-gritty, the uncomfortable shit, the grunt work, I gotta face this, I've gotta focus on what's really causing it and work it through, and it's gonna suck most of the time, but on the other side there's growth, there's improvement, there's contentment. Instead of let's just live our entire lives pretending things don't exist and we're just going to be a slave to our issues, let Rome burn in our wake behind us no matter how many fucking relationships we fail, or how many kids we mess up, or how many dogs we have in balance in our presence. We're not able to get grounded. And there's plenty of people that are very grounded, but there's also people that are living in literal la-la land in their brains. They're just floating on a cloud. Like if you're just a cork in the ocean currents are going to take you wherever the fuck it wants to take you, and you have no say in the matter. And this is how I find a lot of people's brains are operating nowadays, especially when it comes to things that trigger emotions. Religion, politics, animals, child rearing, relationships, sports teams, anything that makes a feeling happen, these feelings explode in so many people, and it just blinds them, and it just leads them to make such wrong action for themselves in addressing what's really going on. It almost takes them down the way that addressing it is the last thing you want to do, and the problems just get worse and worse and compound. Now, coming back to dog behavior, everything has a root cause. And as I talk about over and over in most of these episodes that I'm talking about these problems that people have, it's based in sensory and the relationship. So if a dog is out of kilter in the type of relationship and structure and order you're creating, they're going to become too hypervigilant where it's not appropriate, and then you get this over-assessment, oversensitivity to changes, stimuli, pending events, and you're getting a dog in a constant heightened alert state where they're going to be quick to react. That's why we call these issues reactions and anxieties. It's the over response to everyday life because we haven't been taught either early in life or just based on our wiring needing more guidance to get through these things, to learn better coping mechanisms. It just becomes pathology. And that's how we're raising puppies. We don't want to socialize them until they're 4 to 6 months. This vet's telling people don't even take your dog outside until they're fully vaccinated. You mean not even in my own yard? So they're going to develop potty issues aside from being totally mortified from life, let alone socially or meeting other dogs, because we want to make sure our dogs are safe. It's all about being safe, and you don't want to put them in a position of stress. What do you think we're doing with our kids? That's what safe spaces are doing, is it's saying, okay, you have a problem with something, you don't like something. Let's see what that is in you that maybe doesn't like it. Is it appropriate, or is it just your perception that's now everyone's going to have to kowtow to you because you can't work through something that you don't like hearing or seeing or recognizing in yourself, right? And this is what we do with our dogs. And it makes us see something that's a pragmatic, matter of fact, this is the truth, there's no bargaining with nature, makes people sometimes have a hard time swallowing that pill. Now, my clients are great because I show them results, and once you see results, unless you're a complete batshit crazy person, and once in a while you get it, but most part, people are rational enough to say, hey, you're showing results, what I'm doing wasn't working like that, I'm going to change to make it work like you're showing me it does, right? But boy, the purely positive mindset, all these people who think like that with their heart and not their brain, or find a heart-brain balance, are just destroying everything. And then what's even worse, and where you always hear me take issue, is when they want to start vilifying the people who are speaking about truth and reality. That's where the fucking problem is, and that's where I draw a line on this, whether it be a political thing, a societal thing, parenting, dog ownership, training. This is where I am stepping in, and I have to explain what is going on, because I have a pretty good grasp as to how these people think that are just ruining everything, because they feel so strongly, and the key word is feel, that there's no objective reality at all pumping away in their brain or psychology. And then we now, because we're so afraid of how they get so unhinged that they're going to try to hurt our careers, they're going to defame us, they're going to call us abusers, this, that, racist, whatever they want to call us, that's what's making everybody kowtow to them. Instead of talking about, like, hey, these people are fucking crazy. These are insane people that need to do work. They're damaged people usually, right? If you look into it, most people who promote purely positive or, permissive parenting and all that, these are people with a lot of issues. They had overly strict parents or abusive parents, right? Because there is such things as being too strict, and there is actual things called abuse, and it's creating them to compensate now either with their own children or with their or with their dogs or with their rescue. They want to buffer you from, like, hey, this dog's got issues, we got to stop that. Well, this dog's had a really bad past. Well, are you going to help its future if you're going to permit everything that it does, so it ends up in a worse situation? Or at the very least, your dog is so anxious and so overstimulated by everything going on because you feel bad to give it rules? Or are you having a problem with rules and you can't look within yourself and do your own work so you can start facilitating growth in others? That's probably what's going on. That's why the purely positive movement doesn't address things, because most of these people, when you try to talk to them, they are very flawed individuals themselves. And we all have issues, but to own up to them, work on them, and not make them others' issues or project them onto others, animals, your children, whatever it is, that's the key. All right, rant over, folks. I figured I'd go on with this. Heading through some tunnels. I'm in the mountains. I'm motivated by the cool weather. But that's that. All right, so we're going to finish with a question. So Jane, who I mentioned earlier, sent me an awesome question, and she's I think she's on the East Coast. I apologize. I have to use my phone to record these podcasts, and your question is in an email on this phone. So instead of hitting pause, I'm just going to commit to memory. So I apologize if it's not verbatim. In a nutshell, Jane's working with a local trainer. I believe she has a German Shepherd dog or a mix. And the issue is that her trainer's been telling her that she's not being strong enough as a leader. But then when I look further, it's talking about strong enough corrections. Now, granted, there's corrections that are weak as far as the dog just doesn't get their attention. But I also want to just caution that if you're relying too much on the equipment or the actual kinetic force of something, you may be wanting to look more in the general state of how you come off to your dogs, just in a mindset where your heart's at, and then more of a generalized type of training where you're using commands and focus and these rules in a more preventative daily regiment way versus waiting for a dog to do something and always correcting a problem. And dogs learn through consequence. Okay, that's what the purely positive people are afraid of. I have no problem with a correction, but I myself even learned from a dog trainer who, used to train military dogs to Vietnam. He was a little too harsh with the corrections, and I don't think he meant wrong. No one's intending to try to hurt a dog. He just wanted the dog to listen and comply, so there were no problems for the dog or the owner. But I think that's a little too waiting for a fire to blaze and then always try to put it out. You could have the best fire department in the world, and you're right there. Fire starts, boom, you put it out. You're still getting fires to start. And what we want to do is maybe say, hey, let's put a little less money into our best fire department in the world, who has to be the best because there's constant fucking fires, and get into a place where we're being more like, what's starting these fires? Is there someone running around lighting them? Do we have faulty wiring? Is there a brush? Is there an issue with the way that we are using flame? That's how we should be thinking. Not like, oh, fire, put it out. Oh, fire, put it out. Now, a fire happens, you're going to have to put it out, but you're looking at it as like almost the last step in the process or an initial step, and you want to get where the fires are just not starting on their own, or the behaviors are now being for what you're shaping the dog to do organically without having to give him a consequence, because the dog is learning because you're taking the time to do so. So, in a nutshell, I think your trainer has merit, and I'll always err on the side if a trainer talks about rules and being strict and being more objective about things like collars and training tools and corrections and knowing through experience and seeing for what it is without their emotions. The dogs are fine. They bite each other. They're so physical when they're interacting and playing, excuse me for that disgusting burp, playing and just being themselves, they're a lot harsher and biting into each other a lot more than any leash collar correction ever will do. But I also think that there has to be more of the heart and mind end and the strategies and a game plan to get a daily regimen, that's focusing more on structure and leadership just by your natural role, right? Even some people, what they'll do is they'll be good at training a dog, very good leaders, and then at other times they're off the clock and allow some things that aren't going to back up what you're trying to instill in the dog when it is time to be a good leader, when you are doing it by the book. So you're better off doing it in general, even if it's a little overkill at first, to create a more regimented, structured lifestyle. I have many episodes that talk about place training and things in relation to that. That's where you want to go with this. The structured walks as well, to be very preemptive. Have a dog focused and warmed up before the triggers would occur or the transitional times. And yes, you may miss the boat, but at least if you have a game plan, you're going to be a step ahead of your dog most of the time. And that's going to get you more streamlined for them respecting you, seeing where they're taking your guidance instead of giving them an after-the-fact correction, because your guidance is not what they're looking for as a default setting as the norm. Oh, I hope that made sense. All right, guys, this is not the easiest thing to do. I'm usually in a car. I'm usually just stream of consciousing this. Other than, maybe a little bit of I think I'll talk about this today. Sometimes I don't even know where I'm going until I hit record. So I cut them off early so we don't go too off into Pluto, into tangents. But as I said earlier, and I said in the last episode, please make sure you're sharing, reviewing, hit a like, subscribe. It's not that hard to do. Send me an email, ask me a question. Again, my email is dogtrainingla@gmail.com. I am pleased as punch when I get these things. People tell me how it's helping them, or that they do listen, or they, someone even compared me to another podcaster who's very well known, and that was touching. I look up to that person, and I don't want to ever be anything more than just me. This is Brett. You have people that influence you, and people that you regard as something that you want to aspire to be more like. So thank you for that. That really helped me. All right, guys, thanks again for listening. It's been episode 67. Have a great day.